Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Mentor. My name is Aaron Gutekunst. I am a marketing coach over here at Elevate, and we are back after a short hiatus for the beginning of the year. We are ready to roll again into the month of February, and we are going to be working on a theme this month. So the theme for this month is going to be on listings and then also on how to market those listings and how to capture seller leads through things like your listings or just your online presence and the strategies that are involved with those. So today, what I'm going to be focusing on was the latter, the last one that I mentioned, the capturing of seller leads. So I am sure that there are many of you out there who are interested in capturing seller leads for your real estate business. Um, this is a highly competitive market and can take a lot of time, money, and effort if you aren't utilizing the right tools or aren't in the right mindset, I guess you could say, to beat out your competitors. Now, here at Elevate, we believe in comprehensive strategies. If you were with us, paying attention, watching at the end of last year, you know we came out with a whole like marketing strategy guide for 2021, and a lot of this was kind of baked in there a little bit, but we're going to get more specific now to seller leads. And a comprehensive strategy is extremely important in capturing, securing, and marketing to seller leads in your area. Because we know there's a lot that goes on in lead generation. In fact, we have a whole other guide that is dedicated specifically to lead generation. It digs into the art of it, how to manage funnels and everything, lead generation strategies, all that good stuff. You can download that at a link that's going to show up somewhere down here to keep the brain dump going. But what we're going to talk about today specifically is going to be how to capture seller leads and with some um, nice, tried and true methods, but also some unique and different methods that you can try out. So the first one, and this is more kind of like just an overarching, big old paintbrush to slap across your strategy is you want to first off invest in your brand. If you want to pull in high-end clients, you want to make sure your brand reflects that. If you want to cater to first-time home, or not first time, but if you want to cater to folks who are selling their homes for the first time, it's the first time they've ever done this, make sure your brand reflects that. If you want to cater to veterans, make sure your brand reflects that. Whoever you want to cater to, make sure your brand reflects that. That includes logos, your color scheme, even the fonts that you use, taglines, slogans, they all matter. And positioning yourself against key competitors takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of thought. If you're already well established in your market, you probably already have this part down. But for some of you newer agents, if you're not as well established, this is going to be very important to focus on really polishing your brand up and making sure that it appeals specifically to the types of leads and the types of folks you're trying to cater to. Um, you want to make sure that you are investing in it because you're going to get what you pay for, and you want to make sure that you get the story right. It makes all the other pieces we're about to talk about come together much more easily and really gel. Um, and leading into that, the next thing we're going to talk about are websites that impress, because nothing will turn off an online lead faster than a crummy website. So to begin with, you don't want to continue to rely on like big portals that just have these, prefab websites, I guess you can call them. You don't want to rely on broker freebies because there's a whole other list of things that go into that. Um, I guess the exception being if unless that broker freebie website um, you feel it truly represents your brand, then and it's something you want to continue with, then continue with it. Again, you just want to remember whatever your brand is, you want to make sure that it is speaking to the audience that you are trying to market to. Um, And remember, another big part of this is that you are not just representing yourself whenever you are, working with a seller. You're representing that seller too, and you want to make sure that their listing is going to look and feel and be represented at its absolute best. Next is don't forget about lead generation forms. So it blows my mind sometimes how many websites just miss the entire idea that the purpose of a real estate website is one of the big ones is to capture leads, right? Um, don't have one of those websites. The entire objective of your website is to showcase your brand, to for people to be able to search for properties of interest, and to make it super easy for people to just raise their hand and connect with you. So make it easy, have lead generation or lead capture forms, have, the ability for folks to just give away their information to you. It's valuable, right? People pay tons of money for leads, and a lead gen form on your website is basically free. Um, so why not have it? And kind of carrying on that whole idea of the forms and pulling in new leads like that is you do want to actually spend some money to invest in PPC or pay-per-click ads. Um, you know, Gone are the days when you think you can't afford pay-per-click or that you don't need it. It is much more cost effective now than it used to be. So really, it's kind of time to buck up and invest. Um, Price points are going to vary depending on your market and the number of leads you want to capture and the types of leads you want to capture. So it's important to work with a reputable company that will follow the processes that they've put into place to both capture and then nurture and convert those leads. And honestly, I may catch a little flack for this, but there's really no such thing as a bad lead. But there is definitely such a thing as bad processes, bad workflows, and bad habits that can let leads slip through the cracks. So it's important to be mindful of those. Next is to get social. Work on your social media. You don't have to be the king or queen of Twitter, but you do need to have some social presence. And here's the facts. You might not like being on social media, but your prospects probably do. Um, and even if they aren't on social media, they're expecting you to be on social media because that is going to help you market their listings, right? They want as much exposure for their listings so that boom, 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 it turns around as fast as possible. And it's not for everyone. I mean, if social media isn't in your wheelhouse, there are lots of professionals out there that can help you. I mean, Elevate is an example. 365 Agency is another one. Can help you with that type of marketing. Um, and by using social media, one of the great things that you get to be is our next point, a resource. You want to be able to use your marketing channels to offer service and value to your audience. Think along the lines of home valuation page for your website, an Instagram story with polls asking, do you want to move this year or are you thinking about moving this year? Social media posts, blog posts. You want to offer things like market snapshots. You could have people just raise their hand and say, why don't you tell me, what comparable homes you've sold recently that uh, like comparable to mine that, what could I possibly get for it? Um, you want to use all of this to, of course, point them back to your website or lead capture form to get their information. But remember, just give as much helpful information as you can. And I can promise you it'll come back to you tenfold. The next one is going to sound kind of weird coming from me working at Elevate, a digital marketing platform, but stand out with print. And yeah, I said print. Um, the whole world went digital. And now we're frankly, as a society, kind of overwhelmed with digital, right? Just think about how many emails come into your inbox that you don't even pay attention to because, we're just inundated with just like ads and stuff like that. Um, so how do we stand out now as real estate professionals that, are sending out emails or we have ads pop up online? Um, why don't we try hitting them in real life? You know, target markets with, really nice postcards or door hangers or really like well put together property flyers. It shows that you invest in your clients, that you're willing to put together a really nice professional physical representation of your brand and of their listing so that you're marketing to a world that is so inundated with stuff in the digital space that we've become blind to a lot of it. But when we get something in our mailbox, we have to pick it up, and when we pick it up, we're probably glancing at it. And when we're glancing at it, whether we want to or not, we're taking in that information for even if it's just a split second. And that is one of the ways that you can stand out when marketing. And lastly, well, not really lastly, but one of the more important pieces to this, because it ties a lot of this all together, is to use a quality CRM. And if you're doing it right, you're going to have a pretty stacked sales funnel. I think we can all kind of agree on that, right? You don't want to go into the cycle of you stack up your sales funnel and then you work on your sales and then you convert them. And then while that's going on, your sales funnel kind of depletes. And so you have to go back and restack your sales funnel. And you just repeat this process over and over again. What you want to be able to do is maintain a stacked sales funnel while you're continuing to convert. So a really high quality CRM combined with the things we talked about before is really going to work that strategy together quite nicely. You want to be able to collect, store, track leads. They're processed through the CRM as they're engaging with brands, as they're engaging with the listings that you're putting out there, and make sure that you can automate a lot of the tasks, especially the follow-up, the processes, the workflows, reminders. You don't let leads fall through the cracks, because remember, like I mentioned before, there isn't really a bad lead, but there are definitely bad strategies, bad processes, bad workflows, and bad habits that can contribute to a perceived devaluation of a lead. And then as you're doing all this, as you're polishing your brand, as you're developing a very strong social presence, as you're putting out high quality ads, as you're doing things to pull in buyer leads, not just seller leads, but being able to pull in both types of leads into your system. All of this combined with beautiful website that has very well put together listings, and everything like that. This is all going to work to attract seller leads just just organically, because ultimately, whatever you're choosing to do, it of course needs to be professional looking, needs to be functional, easy to replicate, among other things. But you want folks that are looking around for a selling agent to be able to kind of look through and see, hey, this website looks fantastic. I would love for our listing to be showing up on something like this. This social platform, this Facebook page has tons of followers. I would love for our listings to be, showcased there. Or, here's a fantastic, virtual tour. I would love for our listing, for my house, to have a virtual tour like this, or they're using drones, like anything that you can think of. You want seller leads to see your brand as one that they want to represent them, represent that listing. Here at Elevate, we also have, partnerships and integrations with agent marketing, with VoicePad. It's who we recommend for a lot of the print and design services. It's who we recommend for things like beautiful sign writers. It's who we recommend for fantastic websites that integrate with ours, with the CRM, all this stuff, all of these different pieces and components of strategy all really need to come together and gel so that, you're not only working to pull in seller leads, but seller leads are coming to you. You're not having to actively pursue. You're just doing your thing, going through the steps of this strategy, and these seller leads are just coming to you. So I know I've kind of talked at length about different ways to acquire seller leads. Next week, we are going over how to kind of secure the listing, like nailing your listing presentation. Um, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be, talking about, you're also going to be able to access through an educational guide we're coming out with soon. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be going over, of course, what things you'll be needing to work with, such as websites, CRM for tracking workflows and content, things like that. But it's also going to be introducing you to a couple of new faces on the Elevate scene, and that is Agent Marketing, who are just fantastic for beautiful print materials, listing presentations, things like that. And then VoicePad, which have fantastic sign writers with immediate updates that are sent right to people's phones just as they're going through a neighborhood, and just like, texting a phone number that's on the sign, getting fantastic narrated virtual tours, things like that. So we're going to be talking more about different strategies, different things of that nature. So you'll want to definitely stay tuned. Strategies for marketing your listing, things to do after the sale, so on and so forth. But anyways, we have an entire month of really exciting content coming up. I can't wait to share it with you guys. But until then, we will see you next time. And for Monday Morning Mentor with Elevate, this has been Aaron Gutekunst. Have a great day.